It's a bull, and I think you got it right today. Good morning. Hey, what's up? I actually got this out somewhat morning here. Take a look at this, though. Beautiful day out there on the water, little breeze, and yesterday was like a nice cool day in the morning, but today we're back to 81 degrees, so we're starting up our summer again. You know, Florida has two kind of seasons here like Canada does. They have cold and colder, and we have hot and hotter. So actually we had a very beautiful winter. And yesterday was this weekend was a drop dead gorgeous weekend for those of you in South Florida that got out, my local peeps. Well, let's take a look at what's going on with markets. First, let me make a comment on what's going on in the world here, and all eyes are on Ukraine right now, apparently. And let me get out of this. And as you can see from my thumbnail, what did I say? There's right there 4 words that could have avoided this, 4 words that would have equaled peace, I believe, in this region. I mean, you can't say for sure. However, here's 4 words I think that would have prevented all this and prevented any bloodshed from happening. Again, speculative on my part, but I think a lot of us understand exactly what was going on here and what should have been done that was not. Let's take a look at the next thing here, which is my little meme for the day. In my opinion, this applies to countries, this applies to your neighbors, this applies to friends, and not friends, but family, and not even family. Shouldn't be enemies with your family, but this applies to everyone. The best way to destroy an enemy is to make him a friend, okay? And is this something that we've been doing with Russia? Is this something we've been doing with other countries? Have we been creating friendships, or have we been creating division? Unfortunately, I think we live in the age of division. When I was a young man, I believe that there were still some peacemakers out there and ambassadors for peace. And however, I don't think we have that anymore, especially in this particular country. And for some reason, these so-called liberals out there, are there anything but liberals? It just surprises the hell out of me. At one time, liberals used to stand up for free speech. At one time, liberals used to be against war. At one time, liberals used to be for the small businessman and the trucker and the middle class and the poor. At one time, well, I could go on and on and on, but let me stick with this meme for the day. The best way to destroy an enemy is to make him a friend, and I believe this 100%. I don't think anyone would argue with me on this point. And one other thing I want to bring up, because Ukraine is big on everyone's mind. I'll get into precious metals here real quick, but something real important, I think, that most people don't understand what Ukraine is. I mean, fortunately for me, I've been with a lady for quite some time, the love of my life, and her parents are in Ukraine. So, I followed you. When I met her, I started learning everything I could about Ukraine. That's just the way I am, politically, and about the peoples there, and about the diversity and everything. And Ukraine is a very diverse country. Most people don't realize this. It's mixed, part Russians and part Ukraine people that are from the eastern region and the north part of Ukraine. Very rich, diverse country. And here, I'm going to give you some suggested watching. I've watched this guy for quite some time, and it's called Bald and Bankrupt. Now, here's what I do promise you. I do promise you, if you take the moment to actually watch this, and I think it's a short video, it's like 18 minutes. And actually, he has a lot of other videos where he just travels all through Ukraine, talks to the different people in the different regions, and watch a few of his videos. And this, I promise you, you will be smarter than the talking head on CNN. You will be smarter than the talking head on Fox. You'll be smarter than the ambassadors in our United States. You'll be smarter than most of our politicians. You'll be smarter than most of the politicians in Europe and NATO if you watch this, okay? Believe me, watch this right here and you'll get an idea what Ukraine is made of. He has some excellent points that he makes right in the middle about it is such an ethnic variety, it's such a variety of ethnic groups and different thinking in Ukraine. So to simply paint it with one paintbrush is absolutely ridiculous, and that's what you see going on in Fox, CNN, MSNBC, BBC, all these talking heads. And again, all these talking corporate news stations from CNN to Fox to BBC are all just puppets of the corporate, or not the corporate, puppets of crony corporate America, and they're puppets of the government. Trust me on this. They don't want you to know the truth. Watch this video, and I think you'll be pretty impressed with this assessment. And again, why don't, what is wrong with peace, really? Best way to destroy an enemy is to make him a friend. Great videos this guy does, and I don't often recommend videos in others' channels, but if you want a full understanding of what's going on over there, watch this recent one, Solo along the Ukrainian-Russian border one day before the invasion. And if you enjoy his videos, which I have found, I like to travel, so look at his other videos on here, and you can do the Leaving Kiev, okay, Solo, and he talks about the different regions too. And let me see, where is his Ball and Bankrupt? There's his videos, right? Go to videos, and as you can see, you'll see a lot of Gopnik dogs, Ukraine. He's done a lot of travels in Ukraine. You watch a few of these videos from the east and west side that he does. Here's East Ukraine, and you will see that there is definitely differences in the people there. And the fact that our corporate media and the fact that our government, I think they understand it, I think they're just lying to us about it, don't talk about this stuff is absolutely ridiculous. Again, if you want to be smarter than your neighbor, smarter than the average person, smarter than our government officials and the EU government officials, and you want to be smarter than corporate news, watch a few of this guy's videos and watch that one. Again, I know I'm kind of pushing this, but I really want people out there to understand who it is that we're messing with and whose lives we're messing with. And in fact, it's just division. We're just dividing people, folks. That's all these countries. That's all the United States has done for the last couple decades now, especially in the last decade. Division, division, division. Divide people against. Who's trying to divide us? And the same thing's happening in Ukraine. Major divisions. It's not anything different than what we got going on here. The divisions in the two parties, the divisions by the two different, they got very similar issues in Ukraine. And if you want to understand more about it, watch that video. Okay, I'm done talking about that. But as I said, I think you'll really enjoy him as well. He brings a human level to Ukraine, and he brings a human level to both sides, and he brings a human level to the Russians as well. Good watch. I highly recommend it. All right, I think the coin did a bull today, and I believe it is absolutely correct. My assessment on Friday was that we would see a big increase in gold and silver and platinum if there was no ceasefire and there were no talks. And I believe I'm absolutely correct, because even with talks and a ceasefire in place, right? Not a ceasefire, but even with talks going on right now, we're not quite sure what's happening battle-wise. But during the talks, I suspect that the Russians will back off a little bit. Maybe they won't. But no less, I'm glad to see talks happening. And even with the talks happening along the northern border of Ukraine, we're still seeing the price of gold. Look at that, $24 up, silver up 17 cents. And believe me, I'm sure that the big shorts tried to smash it down a little bit last week, but they were unsuccessful. And this isn't even a major black swan event that we've got going on in Ukraine, folks. And take a look what it just did to metals. And believe me, they've tried everything to knock these prices. The big short positions out there, the big commercial shorts, are pulling out all the stops to knock silver down, everything. I mean, they're throwing everything at it, and you can still see it still has legs, it still has strength. So something's going on in the silver market. But again, don't underestimate these mega corporate banks out there that have been monkey hammering the price of metals with CME, with the COMEX Group's approval, or actually not saying anything. But and the CFTC, the crooked COMEX, they do nothing. Again, I don't want to keep going over and over how crooked the COMEX casino is, but they're doing their best to knock prices down. And take a look where we're at right now. 1914 with gold, a low of 1895 and a high of 1928. Currently sitting at 1914, as we said. Silver 24.13 a low, 24.69 a high. Currently sitting at 24.47. And as I said, they're pulling out all the stops to keep silver below its 200-day moving average, which I think is what, 24.70 or something. Could be wrong. Remind me. But again, boy, you can tell they're attacking silver, and it's still climbing. Look at platinum, 1,057, a low, 1,052, a high, 1,076. And palladium, the real big gainer. And as I kind of thought, palladium, a lot of palladium comes out of Russia, folks. And if we start to see the sanction, I believe we're going to see palladium and platinum go up. But palladium specifically, I don't talk about it. We don't sell much of it, and I don't understand that market very well. But I do understand, again, a lot of it comes out of Russia. And if we see some heavy sanctions, you could see the price of this shoot up even higher, potentially. And palladium is used in industry. It's used in catalytic converters. It's used, what blows me away is now, we've added to our economic woes in Europe and the United States by increasing the price of commodities like this. I mean, that's just going to cost us more, and who's going to get charged more? You and I as the consumers. So there's nothing good about this conflict in Ukraine. And in fact, as I've said over and over, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, this could have prevented it most likely. Just these 4 words. No NATO in Ukraine. That could have prevented this entire situation more than likely, or prevented the dire situation that they're in currently. However, as I said, the current administration here and the current party that is in charge right now, and the EU, and as far as I'm concerned, and NATO, have pretty much proved that they're war hawks across the board, and they did nothing to stop or prevent this. In fact, they're doing everything to create more division. And the corporate news does the same thing. They suck. Again, from CNN to Fox, they all suck. So, in my opinion, that's my opinion, of course. I don't know what most of you think. Maybe you think one's better than the other, but really they all lie to you, folks, in my opinion. Let's take a look at the 24-hour charts. Let's take a look at the 24-hour spot bid chart. Look at this last night. This would have been last night's open on Sunday. Woo, she opened up quite strong. Take a look at that, $20 up, and then a little bit of side. There's your slingshot right there, and then back up, and then kind of sideways throughout the day. Here's our green line, which is today. Again, metals choppy between that 1900 and 1920. I believe there's a battle between the short positions and physical right now. I don't think the long positions have much to say in it, but they get washed out all the time. But the short positions right now, I think, are starting to see something where I think a lot of people are going to start taking delivery on metals. And not only that, we're seeing that physical will start driving the price of metals up. I'm pretty certain of that. And this up market has nothing to do, everything to do with the demand of physical precious metals, and it has less to do with them trying to, the long positions out there, the positions that, wouldn't get monkey hammered all the time, the managed money positions. Well, anyways, let's move along from there. I'm getting a little sidetracked there with this. And 24-hour spot prices, same thing. You could almost lay the gold and silver chart over each other somewhat. They're opening up pretty big last night, and then kind of collapsing downward, except we didn't see that slingshot that we saw in gold here nor here last night. And again, this tells me that what we've got going on out there, we've got a war between physical prices, and we've got a war between the ridiculous nonsense short positions held by big commercial banks and the crooked COMEX. And I believe they're going to lose this battle here, but it's tough to say. Never underestimate banks that are in bed with the federal government and or central bankers. Never underestimate those suckers. Well, let's take a look at the stock market here, and we kind of expected this. I don't think that the Fed's going to do a turnaround and not launch higher interest rates. In fact, I think they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, but we'll see. Dow Jones, SP, and NASDAQ down substantially. Here's something interesting to me, too, though. Why is Bitcoin, for all the Bitcoin bugs told me for years that Bitcoin was going to surpass the price of gold as a hedge against emergencies, a hedge against wars, a hedge against falling fiat currencies, a hedge against the falling stock market, a hedge against... And it is exactly doing the opposite. It is following equities almost. I mean, when equities are down, when equities are down, so has been the price of gold. So has been the price of Bitcoin. So, I mean, it's just some weird parallels going on here that I didn't even think would be coming. I thought that even though that Bitcoin wishes it could be gold, and it's not, and it never will be, it still, I thought, would be a decent place maybe to square some money away that would go up in value in times like this. But again, it's just proved just the opposite. What the heck is going on there? I have no clue. And I haven't had any Bitcoin people explain it to me. I did see one article that says that the reason that Bitcoin is following the equities markets is because Wall Street has basically adopted it, made it their own, and government has regulated it into just a glorified money market account. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, and that may be incorrect. But if you got a better suggestion, put it down in the comments, because again, I'm truly miffed by this. I thought that Bitcoin would at least move up with the price of gold, even though I don't think it's as good as gold. But this definitely tells me things that it's not a good thing, in my opinion, and it doesn't certainly flies in the face of what we've been told about Bitcoin for the longest time by the bugs, the Bitcoin bugs. But hey, we got our gold bugs too, and some could even call me a gold bug. Well, let's take a look at what the best deals are, because the one thing that I do better, I got my political commentary, I got my economic commentary, which all ties into the price of gold and silver and where it's going. But I got me, I'm a commentary type guy. But one thing I do better than everyone else out there, all the talking heads out there, is I understand the product. I've been a buyer and seller, wholesale and retail, of gold and silver bars and coins since 1977. Second generation, started with my father. I've seen so much of this stuff, been through a few markets. But again, one thing I do better than all the talking heads on YouTube is I understand physical and what the best deals out there. Best deals, folks, I sound like a broken record for a long time now, but the best deals are generic 1 ounce gold bars. I mean, they are the best deal overall. Can you find some other stuff cheaper? Sure. But if it's too cheap, folks, remember what I told you, too cheap, too good to be true, probably fake, or you're not getting what you think you are. But gold bars are the best deal out there, spot plus 73. As you know, I advertise to beat APMEX, JM, and SD Bullion, who are the big online 800-pound gorillas. Nothing wrong with them out there, but your local dealer, like me, even though he may not be as handsome as me, just kidding, your local dealer out there should be able to beat APMEX, JM, and SD prices. Now, are there other online dealers that are cheaper? Yeah, and I'm not saying there's not, but still, those are the three 800-pound gorillas that you never have to worry about, or unlikely you're going to wake up and hear they went bankrupt before they delivered their gold. But you never know, folks. But your local dealer should be able to beat them if you don't live in my area. If you live in South Florida, this is where I'm going to tell you to go first. Stick with the bars, $73 over, as opposed to $113 or less, depending on how many you're buying for American Eagles. That's significant, man. That's what, $40 or something like that over. Eagles are $40 more than these. Would not have you buy them unless you just wanted to have one. It's just overpriced, man. Love the product, just overpriced. Most sovereign state coins right now in gold and silver are way higher than generics. They're not worth the money, folks. I'd debate anybody. I'd debate any talking head about that out there. And definitely stay away from U.S. gold coins that are certified, because they're just way overpriced. That's collectible stuff. That is not buying gold and silver, in my opinion. And again, I'd love to have a debate with any YouTuber out there that wants to say otherwise. Some professional that is in the business like myself. Same thing with silver. Best deal out there is not the sovereign state coins, not sovereign coins, which would be Canadians, Australians, U.S. silver eagles. All of them are overpriced, folk. I love products. I love eagles. I love maples. I love the silver Krugerrands and the Britannias, but they're overpriced. And I can't say that enough time. If you're stacking for the sake of stacking silver, who gives a shit what it looks like? Pardon my expression, but it's true. As long as it's a recognizable product, in that case, stick with 1 ounce bars, 10 ounce bars, 100 ounce bars. I mean, my prices are better than APMEX, SD, and JM Bullion, and so should your local dealer too. And why do I keep saying local dealers? Because you spend money locally, that local dealer goes and spends it in town. He may even spend it at your business somehow. The money gets generated back into the community and with his employees as well. When you ship your money out of state to another place, I don't care what it is, bullion, tires, or whatever it is, that money's gone. You're never going to see it in your state again, folks. So, buy local if you can. I always recommend that. And I know that's not the reality for everyone. GATA.org. I got to tell you, one of my favorite websites. If anybody knows how gold and silver is silver. I think Ted Butler is the #1 guy out there when it comes to talking about how the silver markets are manipulated. I don't think anyone knows more than him. That's my opinion, of course. We'll get to that in a moment. As far as gold goes, I think God has done their homework. They're the top dog out there when it comes to gold manipulation and how that's done. So it's two separate markets there and two different experts, in my opinion. But you know what really disappointed me with GATA.org, if they're listening out there? Why the hell would you put Bloomberg crap out here by Alina? People that energy firms snap up Russian gas as Europe seeks alternatives. Okay, that's okay. But even Ukraine hasn't cut the pipeline. Let's see what they say in this. I just have such a bad taste in my mouth with Ukraine, not Ukraine, sorry. Yeah, actually that too now, the war. But with Bloomberg and these corporate media talking heads, and Western nations are ratcheting up pressure in Moscow. For the remainder, anyway, this is just pro-EU and a pro, that's all Bloomberg is. They're mouthpieces for the government, they're mouthpieces for their corporate crony buddies, okay? Why gata.org even, and I hope they're listening, why would you even put Bloomberg articles on your website? Bloomberg is not your friend, gata.org. They have never been your friend. In fact, they're quite the opposite of your friend. Given the opportunity, they will trash you. So why would you list Bloomberg on gata.org? And Reuters, for that matter. They're just as frickin' bad, okay? They are not friends of the people. They are not friends of you, gata.org, and they're certainly not friends of the narrative and the message that you're trying to give people. Don't even put their shit up there. It sickens me to look at it. Sorry about that. And there's another Bloomberg. Sanctions on Russia will force central banks. Again, another corporate, crony corporate mouthpiece and government mouthpiece right here, Bloomberg News. I don't know why you keep putting this stuff up. The Telegraph is probably the British version of that. But come on, guys, put up some more gold and silver articles and some more articles that aren't from the corporate crony media, all right? Please. Otherwise, I'm going to just stop reading this stuff. And let's move into ZH. And again, I got great respect for gata.org. I have no respect when they start posting articles by people that would put them underground if they could. And Bloomberg would put gata.org 6 feet under if they could. And maybe they will one day. Again, why would you list their articles? Sorry about that. That's just my opinion. A lot of stuff out in ZH here. Ukraine frustrated low-level delegation as ceasefire talks kicks off in Again, this is the reason why we probably didn't see a $50 and a $100 up day in gold right today. I honestly believe that. If the fighting had gotten more intense and they started going to Kiev, I think we would have seen a huge up market today. No less, even with the big commercial banks trying to monkey hammer the price of gold and silver down, it's still up. So I think they're in a losing battle right now, folks. I really do. And we're starting to see that. What else is going on out here? Yeah, see, this is what the bullshit is look, they're going to sanction Russia, but but please keep sending us the gas. Folks, do you see the hypocrisy of our current administration? Listen, I didn't vote for the red or blue administration. I think both parties suck, in my opinion, okay? That's my opinion, of course. But when it comes to hypocrisy, nobody does it better than our government, and nobody's doing it better than the EU. EU's even better at it now. And I don't have any respect for NATO. NATO's supposed to be peacekeeping forces. Why they keep poking the frickin' bear? Why wouldn't they have just said this right here to keep the peace, right? This is what NATO could have said. Okay, no NATO in Ukraine. We get it. You know, the Russians, if they put missiles on the U.S. border in Canada, or the Russia put missiles along the border in Mexico, what would we do? If Russia put missiles along the border of France, what would France do? If Russia put the missiles? So the hypocrisy here just stinks, folks. It stinks to high heavens. All right, I'm going to get out of here, move over to here again. And again, what the F, Switzerland, what are you doing? It was the one respectable feature that you had, neutrality, and now you're going to blow it? Again, I'm telling you, all of Europe has been taken over by a bunch of Marxist, in my opinion, and so-called socialists. Not the socialists that, they're not liberals, folks. They're Marxist and they're socialist, in my opinion. And that's what Europe and Switzerland's obviously been taken over. Switzerland just blew the one good feature they had was neutrality, so screw them as well, in my opinion. Every bear market is different. Okay, what else has got going on? And see futures bounce overnight as new peace talks begin. And oddly enough, still I thought that the stock market would be up a little bit with the peace talks, but maybe the stock market is telling us that the U.S., NATO, and Europe is going to just sweep the peace talks under the rug and continue their ridiculous war. And it goes both sides. This could have been done by both sides. I think that even Russia has a culpability in this as well. While I understand not wanting missiles on their border, they could have handled it just as well. So there is some there is something going on here where I believe Russia does want to take Ukraine back under the fold. But no less, God, let's see where this goes. And today we'll find out if the peace talks work. Probably by today or tomorrow, we'll know whether the ceasefire, will there be a ceasefire, or we're going to just see Kiev getting taken over. And please, you idiots out there and that make decision makers in the world, don't get us in another global war. All right. That's again my opinion. Well, where am I going from here? I can just go off on all this stuff, and it's actually funny. In case of a nuclear explosion, gosh, oh man, what world did I wake up in today? Or what world did I wake up in 2020? Oh my God! All right. And all right, let's just move out of here. There's nothing really to talk about. It's the same old shit by the same old lame people trying to divide you and I and divide our neighbors and divide countries. These people got to go. People have got to go. And let's take a look at what Fridays. Seems calm for now. Basically, what I was just talking about was the war over there. Didn't get a lot of hits on that one. I guess people are just tired of talking about it, and I can't blame them. You know, nobody wants to look at this. But you know what? If you avoid it to start, you don't have to deal with it. And again, how could they have avoided this? At least, even both sides, they could have avoided this by doing that right there. That would have been a simple way to start, or at least call the bluff of the Russians. Once, if they said no NATO and the Russians still moving, then by all means go after them, all right? But if that was their primary concern, what did we do? We ignored it. The idiots ignored it. And again, that's my opinion. Let's take a look at comments. And let's see, sort by newest first. And I'm going to blow that up a little bit. And I'm going to try to just, again, I'd like to thank everybody, a lot of you folks that comment out here all the time. I appreciate that. Jesse is feeling bullish. And Strongman, I did see how bullion banks dumped 1 billion ounces worth of silver contracts yesterday after Biden spoke. I didn't see the billion contracts. I've been reading Ted Butler. I got actually a little article that I want to read that was done on the 26th, and I'll know more about that soon, but wouldn't doubt it. They're pulling out all the stops to keep the price of silver below the 200-day moving average, and again, Ted Butler talks about that as well. Does the USA have military bases in Pakistan currently or not? None that are legal, I'm sure. Pakistan doesn't want U.S. bases there. My understanding, Pakistan doesn't want, they want to kind of maintain some neutrality, but Pakistan is diverse ethnically as well, religiously, so they walk a fine line. And did you see the night before the attack, Zelensky said he'd welcome? That's not good. Yeah, see, why would Zelensky say that? I did not see that. In fact, I think if Zelensky was doing anything correctly, he'd be trying to stop this right now. And maybe even if I was Zelensky, I'd be saying, you know what, we don't need NATO in our country. If Russia and NATO agrees to keep a safe eye on us, we'll be fine with that. We'll kind of be the middleman. And again, if Zelensky would start, he would have been the middleman between Europe and Russia. It would have made a fortune, all right? But EU, United States ambassadors, the United States right now, this current administration, has purposely split that country in half for their own benefit. You can guess why, what their benefit might be. I can tell you probably does keep your mind off the idiocy that we've seen for the last couple of years, but no less, I'm sure a lot of it has to do with money as well. Ooh, there goes the phone. Sorry, I should have turned that off. And you're welcome, Pride. And trust me, if you watch that video, Bald and Bankrupt, that I gave you earlier, you're going to, in fact, it's kind of addicting. I've watched a lot of the different ones there because it's nice to know different countries, not what you're told by the talking heads, by crony corporate media, but actually watching and listening to people. And that is really a cool video site. Again, Bald and Bankrupt, can't say enough times how everyone should try watching that. Andrew says silver not global, not even a major invasion if it did silver, blah, 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 blah. It's time to sell all my silver and buy some oil stocks. I disagree, Andrew, but let me know how that works for you, sir. And I think, I wouldn't disagree with buying oil, but I disagree with you 100% silver will not go up. But no less, let me know how that trade works. And I'm watching oil too. You might do good with oil. Paul says, I think the easy access to crypto has made it more like stocks to everyday trader. That could be. Someone else mentioned that just the fact that Wall Street got a hold of it is why Bitcoin will never be what it once were people thought it was, and you won't see billionaires made in crypto ever again. Likely, unlikely. You're welcome, Chuck. Thank you as well. When all else fails, they bring you to war. History in a nutshell. This is true. Bitcoin was created by DARPA. Interesting. I kind of thought about that. I still wonder who created Bitcoin. I've always had suspicions that it was a covert agency. Not sure whose covert agency, but whether it was a country's covert agency or whether it's a central bank covert agency. I always thought it was a covert agency for sure. And well, I guess on the bright side, after the illegal both a dump of 1 billion ounces on the comics, silver still closed above. You're true. I don't know if it closed above the 200. I think the 200's day moving average is 2470. But again, correct me if I'm wrong, folks. And yeah, I think I think the tail is finally starting to, or the dog is starting to finally wag the tail. The tail being the paper markets, and the dog being the physical markets. And yep, Bill, invisible, yes, it might flow, but throughout history, every single currency goes to zero. This is true, unfortunately. And this is why gold and silver has survived for 5,000 years as a form of wealth preservation. Wildcat says Russia's after bioweapons in Ukraine. Gates was just stating on the, interesting. Yeah, lots of conspiracies out there, and I'm not one to throw conspiracies out the window. If just 1% of the craziest conspiracies we ever heard were true, likely they are, I think we'd be surprised as hell. And Wildcat, yep. And yeah, John, I know they did it, but look, prices are still strong. Wait till they lose control of that thing or they stop shorting these markets. And they're going to stop at some point. When they get hammered so bad, they'll stop. They're just trying to recover their potential losses, which is probably in the $8 to $12 billion range right now. I like it when you have late shows. Yeah, I like it too, Linda, sometimes, but man, it's harder to talk later in the day. My brain is just wasted. Thanks for watching. And Martin says, I only invest in things that drop on my toe. It hurts. Yes, I have dropped in a suitcase 3 100-ounce bars on my toe. It did not break, but it got the size of a tomato, and it wasn't pretty. Yeah, don't drop your bars on, especially 100-ounce bars, on your feet, folks. Cool Gray says Bitcoin has been tied to the market. Old news to the ones who really follow crypto. Chart daily. Bitcoin and Ethereum have always been lies heavily manipulated by gold and Goldman Sachs. Yep. Bitcoin can never become a currency, and Ethereum are run by SEC regulators. Kind of what I thought, Cool Gray Pilgrim, is that unfortunately it's that Bitcoin market is no longer the wild, wild west where you could make some real, or the go west, young man, and make your fortune. It's no longer that place anymore. It is the place of corporate, banks and that kind of thing. 4-year cycles in cryptos like clockwork. Thanks for talking. Thanks for mentioning that, poor man investing. Donald says, word I get is Putin is not happy with those folks. Yeah, who would be? And they do exist. If you want to know more about them, type in that word with Ukraine, and you will find that they do have some militias there in the Ukraine area, not in the border where Russia is, but in the northern Ukraine along the Polish border. They have Nazis, man, that are militias out there. And that's, unfortunately, unfortunately, the Ukraine government has used them and still use them to this day. I mean, it's just a bad association on Ukraine's part. But anyways, God, what an idiot comment that is. I'm sorry, Zygmunt, but really, come on. Anybody that, I'm not even a Trump person per se. I didn't vote for him. I like him better. I'd preferred him better than this guy, but I still didn't vote for him, and I still don't believe that nonsense you're saying right there as well. So sorry about that, Zygmunt. Come on, man. Make some intelligent comments there. But thanks for watching. Sorry about that. I'm not trying to jump in your shit. Mario says, Silver, remember me when alone trying to stand up on his mom. She gets right in his face. Well, that's what Silver's doing right now. It's getting in the face of those big corporate monkey hammering bastards. Let's see what happens next week. You're right, wrong. This is the New World Order, the Great Reset. Listen, as I've said, Bolestad, conspiracies abound out there, and I don't discount conspiracies. I think a certain amount of them are true. Let's see what happens. Well, that's really about it. I'm going to stick with the phrase for the rest of the year here, which is my theme for the year, which is think for yourself and question authority. And may I also add that a smart thing to do to make you a smarter person, smarter than your average bear, smarter than your neighbor, and definitely smarter than the corporate news people and your officials and government people, for the most part, is question yourself. Question your narrative. Is it your own, or were you fed it by corporate news or by your parents or by your schools? You know, what is your narrative, and is it really yours? Hey, thanks for watching. That's really about it. Don't forget, Brian Kuzma. I'm a local dealer here in South Florida, a brick and mortar store, been in this location since '95. If you want to buy gold, silver, precious metals, feel free to call me anytime at 954-493-8811. But we only deal locally. We don't do shipping. So if you don't live in South Florida, unfortunately, folks, I can't deal with you. Find yourself a good local dealer. That's the best advice I can give you for you folks living outside my area. Hey, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great day, and I will talk to you on tomorrow. Bye now.